My name is Dan Balaban, and I'm the president and CEO of Greengate Power. Greengate Power is a wind energy project developer based in Calgary. We're focused on the development of wind energy projects across Alberta. Right now we have 9 projects we're developing across Alberta, which total about 1,550 megawatts. To put that into perspective, 1,550 megawatts of wind would represent about 15% of all the power generation in the province of Alberta. It would triple the amount of wind that's currently installed in the province of Alberta, and would represent an investment in the province of about $4 billion. I shouldn't forget to mention that it'll have a significant impact on our annual greenhouse gas emissions. All those projects, if they were to be built, would reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 3 million tons per year. When I was looking at getting involved in the renewable energy sector, there's a whole bunch of different ways of being involved in this business. What I realized is my personal skill set, I think a very good project developer. So I was looking at an opportunity to get involved in the development of wind energy or power projects. I looked at the range of technologies that are available. I looked at the province that I live in, and wind is, of all the renewable energy technologies, is the most mature and most cost effective and competitive with traditional sources of power. And Alberta happens to have one of the best onshore wind resources in the world, so I thought it's something that just made a lot of sense. I think the power generation electricity mix is going to be completely different 10 years from now compared to where it's at today. I think the speed and the type of transformation that we're going to see is very similar to the type of transformation we saw with the internet being adopted as a business tool. And before my career in renewable energy, I actually had a career in software, and I had started up a software company which eventually became the leading provider of my type of software in the Canadian oil and gas industry, and I was fortunate to have sold that software and have done well by it, and took the money that I made in that business and reinvested it in renewable energy. So in that business, I saw a tremendous transformation of how businesses conducted business. I think what we're going to see with the range of technologies that are available to us, we're going to see a fundamentally different way that we produce energy 10 years from now compared to today. And I think it's going to be a range of different things. I think wind is obviously going to play an important role, but there's going to be a role for solar as the solar technology becomes more cost effective and competitive. I think there's going to be a role for distributed generation. I think energy efficiency is going to be an important driver. So I don't think there's one technology specifically that's going to address all the needs, but I think we need to look at it as a suite, and I think we need to look at it as a suite of technologies that ultimately drive efficiency and reduce our environmental impact. So, I originally started Greengate from an entrepreneurial perspective. So I think there's a ton of opportunity for entrepreneurs in the wind energy sector, and more broadly in the renewable energy sector. There's an entire supply chain of opportunities. It starts from an opportunity to be a consultant. You could help advise companies, just like the Pembina Institute does, to come up with their policies and strategies to address and mitigate their environmental impact. There's an opportunity to be an equipment provider, equipment seller, a distributor of equipment, and there's an opportunity to be a developer of projects, and there's a whole range of opportunities in between. I think it's going to be one of the fastest growing sectors in the world. It's been estimated that there's going to be over $1 trillion invested in wind energy over the next decade. So I think it's a phenomenal opportunity, and it's one that I'm very excited about, and one that I hope our coming generation of graduates is very excited about, because I think we fundamentally need to do something, and we need to do something quickly to ensure that we can continue sustaining the lifestyle that we've grown accustomed to. So in the wind energy business specifically, there's a whole range of risks, especially when one first starts a company. So in my business, as a project developer is all about taking what is originally a wide range of risks and trying to narrow them down so there's fewer and fewer risks going forward, so that ultimately we can obtain financing and construct our wind energy projects. And Greengate intends to start construction on our first project, the Halkirk 1 wind project, later this year. It's a 150 megawatt wind project. It'll be the largest operating wind project in the province upon completion. Represents a capital cost of about $350 million, so tremendous economic benefits. But when we started the development of that project and all our other projects, in wind specifically, there's 4 different risks. First, obviously, is resource risk. You need to have a site that ultimately has a strong wind resource, and that requires at least 2 years of measurement before you can confirm that. The second is land risk. You need to ensure that landowners are supportive of the projects that are being developed, because ultimately in the wind energy industry, unlike oil and gas, landowners voluntarily participate in a project. There's no threat of expropriation in the wind energy business. So every landowner that's part of our project has decided to participate voluntarily. So we need to make sure that we're being very active in the community to ensure that we get the community on side. The third risk in our business is around connecting into the grid. Ultimately, you can have the windiest site in the world, but if you're unable to connect that project into the grid, there's no way to bring your product, which is electricity and its environmental attributes, given that it's clean electricity, there's no way to bring that to market. So it's important to identify projects in areas where you can connect into the grid. The fourth risk is really around permitting. It's a complex process to obtain all the necessary permits and regulatory approvals in order to build a project. And as we've been moving our project over time, we've been getting through the regulatory process, and our first project, the Halkirk 1 project, is now fully permitted and, like I said, on track to be under construction later this year. And I shouldn't forget there's actually one other very important risk is financing. These projects in the wind energy industry are very capital intensive, and it requires financing, a lot of bank financing, and ultimately going through and mitigating all the 4 risks that I talked about is to try to address the ultimate risk, which is obtaining financing for our Halkirk project, which will be a $350 million project. I think the most important thing, and I think this Thought Leaders Forum is an excellent start of the dialogue, is we need a very clear policy direction from our province. If you look at the world today, there are many jurisdictions around the world that are being very clear in their support of renewable energy and wind energy specifically. Thus far, Alberta has been rather silent on its support. We've maintained a neutral stance. I think it's very important that we have clear policy direction. Policy that I believe is best suited for our province is a clean electricity standard, or a performance standard as we've termed it today. I think it works very well within the way the Alberta market works. But regardless, clear policy direction is the most important thing that we need to advance the industry in this province. There's a lot of great things going for Alberta. We have among the best onshore wind resources in the world. We have a deregulated power market, so we have a relatively level playing field for anyone that wants to participate in the power market. And we have a general open for business attitude, and that permeates from the government all the way down to the landowners that choose to participate in these projects. And I think a little bit of policy will go a very long way to really creating an explosion of renewable energy and wind energy development in this province.